For more than 40 years, in a quiet field in the American state of Georgia, there stood a monument that no one could fully explain. It was a strange and imposing thing. 4 enormous slabs of gray granite, each nearly 6 meters tall, standing upright around a central pillar with a heavy capstone laid across the top. It weighed over 100 tons. From a distance, it looked like something ancient, like a smaller cousin of Stonehenge, dropped into the middle of rural America. But it was not ancient. It was built in 1980, and to this day, no one knows for certain who was truly behind it, or why. The story of how it came to be is as strange as the monument itself. One day, a well-dressed stranger walked into the office of a granite company in the area. He said he represented a small group of people who wished to build a large monument, to convey a message to humanity. He gave a name, R.C. Christian, but he admitted openly that this was not his real name. It was a pseudonym. He did not want anyone to ever know who he really was, or who the group he spoke for really were. He provided detailed plans and the money and made his requirements very clear. And then he left. He paid and he vanished, and his true identity was never confirmed. To this day, no one knows who he was. What he had ordered built was, on the surface, a list of instructions. Carved into the great granite slabs were 10 guidelines, 10 principles, addressed to all of humanity and inscribed in 8 different modern languages so that, in theory, much of the world could read them: English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, Russian. And on the capstone, shorter messages in 4 ancient scripts, including Egyptian hieroglyphs and classical Greek. The guidelines spoke of living in balance with nature, of guiding humanity wisely, of uniting the world with a common language, settling disputes in fair courts, and ruling our passions and traditions with reason. They sound, at first, almost gentle, almost wise, but it was the very first guideline that would make this monument infamous, and would draw suspicion and anger toward it for the rest of its life. It called for humanity to keep its total population under 500 million people, in perpetual balance with nature. The Earth today holds around 8 billion. 500 million is a tiny fraction of that. And so, to many who read it, that first line sounded less like wisdom and more like a chilling demand. A call, carved in stone, for the vast majority of the human race to somehow be gone. The monument never explained how such a thing should happen. It simply stated the number, in 8 languages, and left it standing in a field for anyone to read. And that was enough to make it one of the most controversial objects in the country. To some, the guidestones were a thoughtful, if unsettling, message about sustainability, left by people who feared for the future of the planet. A kind of survival guide, meant to be read by whoever remained after some great catastrophe. To others, they were something far darker. Proof, they believed, of a secret plan by a hidden elite. A monument to depopulation, to control, to a new world order, erected in plain sight, and signed only with a false name. The monument did nothing to settle the argument, because the one person who could have explained it, the man who called himself R.C. Christian, had made sure he could never be found. The guidestones were also more than a message. They were a machine. They were aligned with astonishing care to the heavens. A hole drilled through the central pillar pointed directly at the North Star. A slot tracked the sun through the seasons, marking the solstices and equinoxes. A small opening cast a beam of sunlight that marked the day of the year. Whoever designed this understood astronomy. and engineering deeply. For decades, the monument stood in its field, drawing the curious, the faithful, the angry, and the afraid. People left messages. People held ceremonies. People defaced it, and others cleaned it. It became a magnet for every theory the human mind could attach to a silent slab of stone with a number carved into it. And then, one morning in the summer of 2022, someone decided to end it. In the pre-dawn darkness, an explosion tore through the monument, destroying one of its great granite slabs. A figure was caught, briefly, on a security camera, and a car was seen speeding away. For safety, the authorities demolished what remained that same day. The 100-ton monument that had stood for over 40 years was reduced to rubble and hauled away in a matter of hours. And just like the man who built it, the person who destroyed it was never identified. So the Georgia Guidestones are gone, and they took their secret with them. We never learned who truly commissioned them or what group, if any, stood behind that false name. We never learned exactly what they wanted, or feared, or hoped to prevent. We were left only with the message itself. 10 rules, in 8 languages, and one number that the world could never quite forgive. And now, imagine driving past that field, late at night, in the years when the monument still stood, your headlights sweeping across the grass. And there, suddenly, rising out of the dark, 4 great stones, taller than a house, covered in writing in languages from every corner of the earth. A message left for all of humanity by someone who refused to give their name, telling you, in stone, how the world should be, and never once telling you who decided that it should.